Welcome to the Bird's Eye View. And today we're going to talk about something that President Trump has done, a little bit of my expertise, and then why I think it will or will not succeed in the end. So let's get down to this, shall we? All right. So President Trump, on January 20th, started signing a bunch of executive orders. And one of those executive orders was protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship. And so, what does that mean? So, the 14th Amendment um, dictates that people born in the United States assume citizenship by being born in the United States. There's more to it, and we'll get into that in just a second. But let's just talk about this executive order. So, the purpose, the privilege of the United States citizenship is a priceless and profound gift. The 14th Amendment states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to this jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. That provision rightly repudiates the Supreme Court of the United States Chambers decision in Dred Scott v. Sanford in 1857, which misinterpreted the Constitution as permanently excluding people of African descent from eligibility for a United States citizenship solely based on their race. Okay, but the 14th Amendment has never been interpreted to extend citizenship universally to everyone born in the United States. The 14th Amendment had always excluded from birthright citizenship versus persons who were born in the United States but not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So we'll get into that more in a minute, but one of the other things that it does here is I know a lot of people are like, oh, is Melania and all these people going to lose their citizenship? Is J.D. Vance's wife going to lose her citizenship? And that answer, without even knowing their cases or how they became citizens, that answer is absolutely no. So part of this is, this says here is, of this section shall apply only to persons who are born within the United States after 30 days from the date of this order. So basically, February 19th or about. So if you were born before and attained citizenship prior to February 19th or 20th of 2025, then they're not going to go back and re-adjudicate those cases. That is a long-standing thing by the United States when they change citizenship law. They've always kind of just done it as of when the law took effect. They don't go back and re-adjudicate people's citizenship and stuff. So, with that said, this won't apply to anybody until next month. And right now, there was a Washington judge that put a stay on this, and so that may even get pushed back temporarily. However, ultimately, no matter what, I think this goes to the Supreme Court for a ruling, regardless of what anybody else is going to put a stay on it or not. Now, let's talk about the 14th Amendment. So, the 14th Amendment here is all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to this jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and wherein they reside. No state shall make and enforce any law that shall abridge the privilege or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor to deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. So this is very important how this is stated. And if you look lately at the way the Supreme Court is looking at cases, they are looking at the plain text of the amendments and the Constitution. So what we can't do is infer what this means, right? We can't take our own personal beliefs and stick them into these words and interpret them any other way than how they were originally meant to be done back in 1866 or 1868. So that's very important because the gist and the reason why as part of the Reconstruction program guaranteed equal civil and legal rights to black citizens. And what it didn't say is all persons born or naturalized in the United States. So this was a big problem, and this is why the 14th Amendment was ratified and pushed forward, because there was still exclusions to this, and that's part of bringing the country together. Now, get back down to this. So this is talking about holding office. Another one about being the president or vice president or holding any office. And then let's see. And then this is especially the Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. Okay, so now we have what the executive order said. We have what the 14th Amendment said. And so what we have to look at now is how is that going to apply, and what's the Supreme Court going to look at? And but I want to bring in something else real quick. I've worked in passports and citizenship for more than 20 years. So I have some familiarity with this kind of laws and things. And I just want you to look at some of these and see what they say, right? So this is the Child Citizen Act of 2000. And if you look at this, applies only to children born on or after February 27, 2001. So if you were born prior to this, then this law doesn't apply to you, which is the same thing as what I was talking about with the executive order, right? Is this will happen at a particular day. Anything before that won't be re-adjudicated, won't be looked at. If you're applying under those or trying to prove under those, then you'll have to show the previous documentation required before those. So, but if you look at here's another aspect of this is what they say is the child was residing in the United States following a lawful admission for permanent residence at the time the parents or parents naturalized or thereafter began to reside permanently in the United States while under the age of 18. So there's that qualification that you must have been legally admitted for permanent resident in the United States, or this law does not apply to you. So there's two things that you can see how the government kind of does from naturalization law and giving citizenship and providing citizenship is you must be here legally and under the age of 18, right? And then those laws only apply when that law came about. So if you were born before this, you can't apply this law, right? Because this is only for children born after February 27th in 2001. So if we go back to the executive orders, right? This was 20 days after the signing of this order that this law or this interpretation, because this isn't actually changing the law. This isn't going away. What it's doing is it's interpreting this line subject to this jurisdiction thereof. And that's very important because if you are let's say, a diplomat, an accredited diplomat, right? You don't, just because you are born in the United States, you don't get that automatic birth or that automatic citizenship by birth because you are under under your father or your mother's immunity status, and therefore you are not part of the jurisdiction of the United States because you have diplomatic immunity. So this is very important part of this because now you start. This is where the current law that has been the current law and has been okayed by the Supreme Court and stuff is if you are not part of the jurisdiction, you cannot be a U.S. citizen at birth. So that's a key thing, right? And if you are an illegal alien, are you under the jurisdiction of the United States? And I would say no, you are not. Now, here's another thing. The Supreme Court, or not Supreme Court, but the District Court, a lower court, ruled recently that illegal aliens do not have the right of the Second Amendment. And so in district court, this guy requested dismissal of these charges. He said that these charges of carrying a gun violate the Second Amendment of the Constitution. And he claimed that even though he's an illegal alien, he has Second Amendment right to bear arms because of the section 922G5A is unconstitutionally interferes with that right. The district court rejected the defendant's request based on the precedents of Portillo and Munoz in the 2011 case. The Fifth Circuit upheld that constitutionally of section 922G5A by reasoning that the phrase "the people" in the Second Amendment does not include aliens illegally in the United States. Medina/Cantu ultimately pled guilty but preserved the issue for appeal. Now, so far, I haven't seen that appeal. That hasn't come up. I doubt the Supreme Court will hear that. And this district ruling so far has stood and likely will stand for the majority of the time. I don't see this being overturned anything. So what we have seen with this is the Supreme Court, or the district court, the lower court, has already ruled, and because of previous court cases, that illegal immigrants are not part of the people. They are not part of the voting public. If you are not part of the voting public, then you are also likely not part of the people that are under the jurisdiction of the United States. Now, here is some transcripts from the original 1966 debate between the 14th Amendment. And I just want you to kind of hear this. So, Mr. Salisbury, I do not presume that anyone will pretend to disagree with the fact that the object of this first section is simply to declare that Negroes shall be citizens of the United States. There can be no other object in it, I presume, than any further extension of the legislative kindness or the legislative kindness and benefits of Congress toward that class of people. The poor Indian whose untutored mind sees God in clouds or hears him in the wind was not thought of. I say this meaning it to be any recollection upon the honorable committee who reported the amendment, because for all the gentlemen composing it, I have high respect personally. But that is evident that object. I have no doubt myself that the correctness of the position as a question of law taken by the honorable Senate from Wisconsin. But, sir, I feel disposed to vote against this amendment because these Negroes are to be made citizens of the United States. I can see no reason in justice or in right why the Indians should not be made citizens. If our citizens are to be increased in this wholesale manner, I cannot turn my back upon that persecuted race. So, this is back at the original debate about the 14th Amendment. And basically what he was talking about is the Native Americans. This is at the very end of this debate that they actually brought up the Native Americans, right? Who were born on this land before America was there. Are they not to be considered citizens as all of the freed slaves and stuff? And I thought that was a curious line in there because this just goes to show you that not everybody here was to be part of the 14th Amendment. Because what they were saying was that if you are not a citizen, then you owe allegiance to somewhere else. And as a Native American, you owe your allegiance to your nation, which is not the nation of the United States. And I thought that was a very curious thing. But I highly suggest. I came across this from watching this video when I was doing research for this. The Law of Self-Defense channel, The Truth About Birthright Citizenship, the 14th Amendment to date. He does a very, very, very well done breakdown. This guy is very smart. He breaks down the debate. He breaks down the meaning of what they're saying. And I highly suggest you go listen to his reasoning. I'm not going to play this video, but I really suggest you go watch it if you're interested in this kind of birthright citizenship type of a thing. But just to recap, is Trump signs an executive order basically putting a highlighter on the jurisdiction thereof. And that's the biggest thing about this is he's basically just taking this back to the original text and correcting the misinterpretation that has been used to allow anchor babies and such in the United States. When I was working passports in Los Angeles, we would get these 1-day-old babies from these hostels that the Chinese parents would fly over, and they would be like 6 months pregnant. They would fly over and stay in these little tiny cubicles, like with just a bunch of other pregnant women. And then after they would have birth, they would come in and get a passport, document the citizenship, get a passport, and then they would go back. And then at the age of 18, that U.S. citizen can petition for their parents to immigrate without going through the regular, normal, getting the whole visa type thing or getting a lottery or something like that. And then also what that does is that allows those people to come back to the United States at any time because they're escorting as parents the U.S. citizen child. We consider these anchor babies. And this is the kind of birth citizenship tourism that this is really aimed at. And I think, in my opinion, I think is a good thing. And I think at the end, the Supreme Court will rule in Trump's favor because I think the Supreme Court will look at the original text, the original debate language, which is broken down in this video. I highly suggest you go watch it. It's a great, great video. And then you can see how the courts have ruled against illegal aliens having some rights and having the Constitution not apply to them. And so I think that Trump will win this. I think it's a thing that's going to happen. I think it's a way to get back to the original meaning of the 14th Amendment to allow those that are here legally to become citizens legally and not to be used as some kind of weapon or some kind of birth tourism just to hand out or bypass our regular immigration system. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. But like I said, go listen to this. I know it's a little long at 25 minutes, but he does a really great breakdown. The Law of Defense channel is very good. But yeah, uh, that's what I think is going to happen. Birth citizenship's not going away. It'll be effective as of a date. Anybody before that will be fine. Anybody after that will have to be under the new rules. And then I really think this is going to go to the Supreme Court. I think the Supreme Court will rule in Trump's favor, and I think that will be the law of the land going forward. So, much love all. Hope you enjoyed that. But right now, we're out.